Our retiring, and he probably doesn't like me saying it, President Mr. Alan Dennis.
Good morning. I am pretty nervous. I had written down here to say kia ora, good morning, and your worship, Mayor Tim. I see he's over there, so very warm welcome to you, Tim. The first time I referred to Tim was when I was on the council. I called him Your Honour, and I was corrected. Of course, Your Honour is reserved for Mike Meeker, who is here today. So very good warm welcome. Distinguished guests and friends of the ILT. On behalf of the past and present ILT board members and executive, I would like to welcome you to the official opening of New Zealand's newest hotel, the Langlands. Today is an exciting day for Invercargill and the ILT, but if you would bear with me for a moment, I would pause and reflect a little bit about Invercargill's interesting past regarding hospo, hotels and taverns. The Langlands is named in honour of William Langlands, the original landowner back in the late 1800s. He owned the entire block, right out here from behind me to Esk Street, which was commonly referred to as the Langlands block, and engaged an architect called Frederick Burwell to design the building in the late 1800s. We're also delighted to have some of his direct descendants here today to celebrate with us. A warm welcome to Alison Joyce, Jocelyn Hurring, Yvonne Vivian Clarence and their families, who are William Langland's great-great-great-granddaughters. To go back a little, for example, in 1856 there was only one hotel, which was owned by a William Lind from Denmark with his wife and daughter. This hotel consisted of a living room, flanked by two small bedrooms and an open loft for sleeping. It was situated in D Street between Esk and Tay. I take it that's where the theatre is, somewhere along there. In 1864, during the early gold rush days, there were 31 hotels, serving only 5,000 people. If you multiply that by 10, with the population of Invercargill today, there would be 310 hotels and establishments in Invercargill. Around 1885, there were hotels with names that may be familiar to some of the older people: the Sylvan Bank Hotel, the Clinton Arms, Three Horseshoes, and the Governor Grey Hotel. There may have been more, but one in particular had its licence refused. And when Annie Hogan's hotel, the Royal Oak, failed the criteria and the premises were described as dirty and in poor repair, to make matters worse, the landlady was described as drunken. No wonder they missed out. Moving on to 1906, just prior to Prohibition, some of the hotel names were the Albanian, Carrier's Arms, the Empire, the Hibernian, the Imperial, and the Shamrock. One hotel building that remains to this era is the Grand Hotel across the road, which was built in 1912. 1944, here we come. This brings to the end of Prohibition after 38 years, and when ILT was formed. ILT quickly established the Clyde, the earlier version of the Kelvin Hotel, the Appleby and the Brown Owl. In 1966, the Kelvin Hotel was completed. It was New Zealand's first new hotel for some years. At the time, the ILT's first major build, it was designed by local architect Alan Mollison and included a number of rooms, function areas, spaces, bars and restaurants. 14 years later, the Ascot Park Hotel was opened by Prime Minister Rob Muldoon. This was a progressive concept at the time, developed with the Parklands conference area in mind. It quickly became a flagship conference and event centre. Some wrongly named it Ollie's Folly, because the chair at the time was Ollie Henderson, and he was rubbished for the idea of building one way out on the suburbs. How wrong he proved his detractors. The Ascot Park Hotel has stood the test of time and continues to be the premium conference venue for Invercargill and the ILT. Incidentally, and I found this interesting because 2 or 3 years ago we all had a guess about the cost of this hotel and what it would be. The total build cost for both the Kelvin and the Ascot properties was, wait for it, less than $4 million. This brings us to present day and the opening of your wonderful, and I say your, advisedly, your wonderful new hotel. It's no coincidence that we're here today, and the central location assisted in no small way in the vision of past boards, working for years with careful financial management, and of course we owe thanks to the Greg Mulvey, Gary Muir and Neil Affleck over those years. I'd also like to thank our elected board members, both past and present, and I see one or two here, past members, Neville and Mike, to name two. Anyway, I'd like to thank those members, both past and present. Angela Newell, my current deputy, she'll be standing out somewhere, there she goes. And my past deputy, which is great, had Mike here, Mike Meeker's back from Wellington just for this event. Patty O'Brien, Sean Bellew, Suzanne Prentice, and Lou Evans, who's given an apology because she's off holidaying in Australia. Despite the challenges, and I want you to think back 2 or 3 years, including the global pandemic, we have stuck to our mission, and we can all be proud of your hotel. It's a significant addition to an exciting Invercargill City Council, Richardson Group CBD development. How proud we are. This may be the last time that I speak publicly, as I'm going to make an opportunity to thank my wife. Where is she hiding? My voice is starting to go a bit. I have cried twice in public, once when they closed my school and once at the stadium a couple of weeks ago. Anyway, my wife Patricia, who has been hugely supportive and understanding of me, and any successes that I've had attributed to me have been impossible without her backing. And also, I'd like to mention now the partners and family of the board and management deserve special mention, because living with such passionate people must stretch the patience and relationships at times. We've stuck together. And I think the proudest thing would be when the pandemic struck, everything changed, but not our determination to put this place in shape. Before I hand over to Chris, I would like to personally thank him on behalf of the board. Chris has done, this is a good choice of words, most of the heavy lifting with this project. I've done a quick calculation. He's attended approximately 372 meetings, made 4,982 phone calls and sent countless emails at least. Chris is the right person at the right time. Say no more. I have no doubt that the future of ILT is in very safe and capable hands. His talented executive team, and they're here tonight, are highly innovative and solution driven. They, in my opinion, and I've shared with all the rest of it, I'm sure of you, are the future faces of ILT. Like me, I'm sure you'll be excited to see and experience what Brian Townley and his exceptional team can accomplish here at the Langlands. There are many, many people standing here I'd love to thank, but we'd all be here for brunch or lunchtime. So instead, I'll hand over to Chris. Thank you.
Just about had me crying again too, Alan. That was sensational. And here I was thinking I cleared history on my phone. Anyway, you got hold of it somehow. Well spoken. And I couldn't agree more to the fact that there are an awful, like hundreds and hundreds of people that need to be acknowledged as part of this process. Sadly, not everyone can get named, right? Because we would be here for a very long time. But there are some that do need acknowledgement. And so at the risk of naming and shaming a few people in the crowd and offending a few, please accept my apology. Tell me later, just like everyone else does. Or take to social media. That seems to be the other way that people do it these days. And then I'll probably phone you and say, why don't you say it to my face? Can you tell it's election season? Anyway, I will start out by saying this project for me has been the success it has. Don't get me wrong, it's had its speed wobbles, but it has been the success it has thanks to the structure that the board helped put in place. And probably the most important thing, other than hitting go, that the board did was allowed the creation of a project control group. And so I do want to start there. It started with the appointment of what was effectively a chair of that group, Alan Dennis, bringing his wealth of experience, practical experience, and big picture thinking, and never wanting to compromise on quality. It used to be a word he constantly said, especially when we were doing what they call value engineering. I learned all these new terms. Basically, that means cutting an extra lift in practical terms. His constant mantra was, oh shit, that's $10. Where's Bharat? Sorry, mate. Budget gone. Didn't mean to name and shame whoever that was. Anyway, never wanting to compromise on quality, that's where I got to there, and ensuring that there was enough in the kitty for broken glasses. Neil Affleck, and more recently Bharat Goer. Neil, I shudder to think how many budget revisions and cash flow forecasts. You took a long blink there. I hope it didn't send you to early retirement, but you were a rock and someone I relied heavily on. So, and more recently, Bharat, thank you too. It's a thankless job doing the spreadsheets, and it's quite appropriate that you're standing next to our bankers here too, who are smiling more than ever thanks to the loan that we've now got. Anyway, told you my jokes were bad, didn't I? Chris Ward, not just for your legal expertise, which is vast, but the wonderful blend of both critical and philosophical thought that you brought to the table. It's been truly appreciated, and I personally have appreciated. And Bevan Thompson, the man in the back, he always does this, stand in the back of the room, say the least. But there's no denying that you keep the contractors under the pump. And some of them are here today and will be nodding their heads. But wow, it was great to know and to have that. That is a frog in the throat, I'm not crying. Sorry, Nikki. It's just COVID. You're allowed to say it these days. Anyway, your eagle eye on every element of the project was critical, and I firmly believe that you've played a massive part, and you deserve an awful lot of credit. Well done, Bevan. This group's first task was to appoint a project manager. Thank you, Tess Brown and T-Big Tess, looking over your way. Good work. Tess, you always ensured that every risk, this is the part where I do a wee bit and you go, shit, what's he going to say? You ensured every risk was identified early, critically assessed and mitigated where it could be. Your direct, no compromise approach may not have been enjoyed by all, but gee, I loved it. Of course, you were ably assisted by Jason McCrosty, Kylie Matchin more recently, and Ian Smith, and thank you all for making the effort to come down today. As you will know, we ensured we had the right operational considerations at every stage of the project by announcing Brian Townley as the executive manager of the Langlands almost 4 years ago when I look back on my notes. His input has been critical and continues to be critical. It will be even more so over the coming months as he cranks the beast up, which is also known in CFO terms as turns the thing into a profitable beast. But thank you, Brian, and thank you for the team that you've pulled together as well. They are exceptional. To the main contractor, Lees, as challenging as it's been, both our organisations can be incredibly proud of this asset. And where is Gary? Are you hiding behind the stairs, Gary? Yeah. Gary and I have got a meeting this afternoon, so he's probably standing a long way from me for a reason. Anyway, it hasn't been easy. Let's acknowledge that. Signing a contract before COVID was even a thing, and then having to navigate both of our ways through that. At every point, though, that we've needed to get around a table, this afternoon in particular, a practical, common sense approach has led to what I believe to be fair and reasonable decisions, and I look forward to that continuing. With all honesty, though, Gary, you should be incredibly proud of what your team have achieved here, and through the various site managers, Phil Pascoe, Michael Connor, I think you should all take a huge pat on the back. Of course, they didn't do it alone, and the range of subcontractors involved can be seen in the Southland Express, which is available from today. To our architects, Warren and Marnie, you started this process out, led by Ian Adamson and Jessie Alley. Jessie, you're hiding over the back as well, aren't you? Not even so. Oh no, there you are. Good man. Wave your hand. Be proud. Yep, wicked. Congratulations. This fantastic asset for the city is thanks to you delivering on the board's vision. And again, not compromising at any point on the quality. I'll touch on that vision shortly. In fact, I'll probably conclude on the vision, so I'll come back to that. Thank you to ICC, I see Claire and Your Worship, the Mayor here, for investing in the Streetscapes project. I do particularly want to highlight the City Centre Governance Group chaired by John Green. John is here somewhere as well, over by the exit. I hope that doesn't mean you're going to rush away, John. Thank you for the hugely complimentary street works that you've completed alongside the hotel. I don't know how many times people have said to me when they're sitting in our cafe that they feel like they could be sitting in any cafe in the world. It has got a truly wonderful feel, and it is a vision that you've shared with us, so thank you so much. And finally, oh yes, yeah, good call. And finally, to the ILT board and executive, total congratulations. Your foresight and vision has resulted in this world-class development. You had the courage to continue with the build in the face of the massive uncertainty created by COVID. That you managed this while also ensuring returns, donations to the community were maintained, and that we created better remuneration outcomes for our family, our ILT family of more than 600, is absolute testament to your excellent governance and absolute commitment to our great city. Honestly, from me to each and every one of you, thank you. Thank you. To conclude, here are the key points from the board's vision for the development, points that were created some 5 years ago, and I want you, as I go through these, just to think whether they'd get the tick. To provide a contemporary hotel in the heart of Invercargill, which will be both attractive and inspiring. Tick. Revitalising the urban culture of the city and wider region. Tick. The design will establish an exciting and vibrant eating and drinking destination, not just a hotel, in the heart of the city. Tick, tick, tick. Pretty amazing. Fair to say, you've nailed it. I'd now like to invite the President of the ILT to formally open the Langlands Hotel, also home to Two Doors Down Bar and Eatery, Brood Cafe, Niche Laneway Bar, Meld Restaurant and 360, the rooftop bar. Over to you, Alan. Oh, say something prophetic. Where you go? Do you want the microphone?
Officially open your new hotel, Langlands. I declare it open.
Okay, that's us. I said I wouldn't speak afterwards, so I'm not going to.